God sent Elijah the Tishbite to King Ahab to say it would not rain in Israel for the next few years. And after this, God sent Elijah away to go live by the brook in the Kerith ravine east of the Jordan River. And God sent ravens to Elijah with meat and bread for him to eat. Later, after the brook dried up, God told Elijah to go to Zarephath in the region of Sidon and stay at a widow's house. The widow wanted to help Elijah when he arrived, but they were almost completely out of food. And Elijah reassured her that God would not allow her flour and oil to run out until the rains returned. Later, the widow's son became sick and died. The widow was upset and blamed Elijah for her son's death, but Elijah took him in his arms, carried him to the upper room of the house, and laid him on the bed. Elijah stretched himself out on the boy 3 times and cried out to the Lord, "Lord my God, let this boy's life return to him." And the boy came back to life, and Elijah gave him back to his mother. The widow said, "Now I know that you are a man of God, and that the word of the Lord from your mouth is the truth." Elijah means Yahweh is God. Now after 3 years of drought, God told Elijah to go to King Ahab and tell him that it would rain again. But on the way to Ahab's palace in Samaria, he bumped into Ahab's servant Obadiah. Obadiah was a secret believer in Yahweh, and he had hidden 100 prophets in 2 different caves from Queen Jezebel when she was going around killing all of God's prophets. Elijah said, "Go tell your master, Elijah is here." Obadiah made Elijah promise not to pull another disappearing trick, and he went and delivered the message to King Ahab. When Elijah arrived, Ahab said, "Is that you troubler of Israel?" And Elijah told Ahab to have all the prophets of Baal and all the people of Israel meet him on Mount Carmel. And Elijah said to the people, "How long will you waver between 2 opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him, but if Baal is God, follow him." And Elijah proposed a test to see which God was the true God. The prophets of Baal killed a bull, put it on their altar, and called on Baal to send fire down from heaven to consume the sacrifice. And the prophets of Baal called on their God all day long to no avail. They wailed, beat themselves up, and cut themselves with swords to try and get Baal to respond. And Elijah started making fun of them, saying maybe Baal's in deep thought, or maybe he's on a long journey, or maybe he's asleep, or maybe he's in the bathroom. And then the people went over to watch Elijah. Elijah built an altar of 12 stones, representing the 12 tribes of Israel, and Elijah killed a bull and put it on the altar. He then completely drenched the altar and the sacrifice with water 3 times. And Elijah prayed, "Lord, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known today that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and have done all these things at your command. Answer me, Lord, answer me, so these people will know that you, Lord, are God, and that you are turning their hearts back again." Then the fire of the Lord fell and burned up the sacrifice, the wood, the stones, and the soil, and also licked up the water in the trench. And the people proclaimed, "Yahweh is God." And Elijah commanded the people to kill all the prophets of Baal. Next, Elijah and his servant climbed to the top of the mountain to watch for rain. After looking out to sea 7 times, they spotted a tiny cloud. They then descended and warned Ahab to get in his chariot and go back to Jezreel before the rains came. And Elijah watched as Ahab tried to drive through the storm. And Elijah ran down the mountain, caught up to Ahab's chariot, and ran ahead of him, guiding him through the storm all the way back to Jezreel. When Ahab arrived, he told Jezebel the news, and Jezebel tried to kill Elijah. But Elijah escaped and ran away to the desert, leaving his servant in Beersheba. Elijah then sat down under a broom bush and prayed that God would kill him, saying, "I've had enough." Elijah fell asleep, but an angel suddenly appeared, woke him up, and gave him baked bread and water. Elijah ate, drank, and went back to sleep. The angel returned, woke him up again, and urged him to eat, saying, "The journey is too much for you." Elijah was strengthened by the food, and he traveled through the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights until he reached Horeb, the mountain of God. Elijah spent the night in a cave on Mount Horeb. Then God came to him and said, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" Elijah said, "I am the only prophet left, and they're trying to kill me." Then the Lord said, "Go and stand out on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by." Then a great and powerful wind tore the mountains apart and shattered the rocks before the Lord, but the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper, or a still small voice. And Elijah covered his face with his cloak and stood before God. Again God says, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" And Elijah again says, "I'm the only prophet left, and they're trying to kill me." And the Lord told Elijah to go back the way he came and go to the desert of Damascus, saying, "Anoint Hazael king over Aram, anoint Jehu son of Nimshi king over Israel, and anoint Elisha son of Shaphat to succeed you as prophet. Yet I reserve 7,000 in Israel, all whose knees have not bowed down to Baal, and whose mouths have not kissed him." Elijah then returns from the mountain and finds Elisha. He finds him plowing in a field behind 12 pairs of oxen, and Elijah anoints him and gives him his cloak. Elisha asks Elijah to wait for him so he can go kiss his parents goodbye. He then kills his oxen, chops up his plow, uses the wood to cook the meat, and feeds the other farmers. He then feeds Elijah and follows him.